Well, my question today is, what is a proper response after God has brought you through the wilderness and into the promised land? Now, we might see that in a different way, like after we've been praying so long for a breakthrough or for an answer to prayer. What's the proper response to God? And we're going to talk about that in today's Torah portion, which is Ki Tavo, when you come in. And that is, the Torah portion is Deuteronomy 26:1 through 29:8. The Haftarah portion is Isaiah 60, verses 1 and 2. And the New Covenant portion is Acts 7, verses 30 through 36. So I'm going to start right off by reading in Deuteronomy chapter 26. And we're getting close to the end of Deuteronomy, which means we're getting close to that time when Moses is going to be leaving the children of Israel. He knows it, and he is trying to impart as much knowledge to the children of Israel as he can before he leaves them. So here we go. Deuteronomy 26, verse 1. Then it shall be, when you enter, Ki Tavo, that's the name, when you enter the land which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, and you possess it and live in it, that you shall take some of the first of all the produce of your ground, which you bring in from your land that the Lord your God gives you. And you shall put it in a basket and go to the place where the Lord your God chooses to establish his name. You shall go to the priest who is in office at that time and say to him, I declare this day to the Lord my God that I have entered the land which the Lord swore to our fathers to give us. Then the priest shall take the basket from your hand and set it down before the altar of the Lord your God. You shall answer and say before the Lord your God, my father was a wandering Aramean, and he went down to Egypt and sojourned there, few in number, but there he became a great, mighty, and populous nation. And the Egyptians treated us harshly and afflicted us and imposed hard labor on us. Then we cried to the Lord, the God of our fathers, and the Lord heard our voice and saw our affliction and our toil and our oppression. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and with great terror and with signs and wonders. And he has brought us up to this place and has given us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Now behold, I have brought the first of the produce of the ground, which you, O Lord, have given me, and you shall set it down before the Lord your God and worship before the Lord your God. And you and the Levite and the alien who is among you shall rejoice in all the good which the Lord your God has given you and your household. So a couple of things here. Once again, we see this word rejoice. I think we saw that back several times in the portion, Re'eh. We saw how many times God was telling us that we need to rejoice. But in answer to the question that I asked, what's the proper response after God has brought us through the desert into the promised land? Well, the proper response is, number one, bring an offering, bring the first fruits. Bring a gift unto the Lord, like thanksgiving, saying, oh God, you did it for me. Thank you. Number two, remembering from where God brought you. Remembering how bad it was. What was the situation? Where did God bring you from? And what did he bring you out of? Number three, worship him. And number four, rejoice in all the good which the Lord your God has given you. And as I was looking through these things today, and I was thinking of how many things that God has brought me out of and how I have fallen short. If I look at this as a pattern of how I should have responded to him, how many times does he bring me through some hard thing and then I forget to thank him? I forget to just remember what was. So continuing on, I'm looking at Deuteronomy, still in chapter 26, verse 12. When you have finished paying all the tithe of your increase in the third year, the year of your tithing, then you shall give it to the Levite, to the stranger, to the orphan, and to the widow. How many times have we seen this throughout Deuteronomy, really, about caring for them? Verse 16, this day the Lord your God commands you to do these statutes and ordinances. You shall therefore be careful to do them with all of your heart, with all of your soul. You have today declared the Lord to be your God, and that you would walk in his ways and keep his statutes, his commandments, and his ordinances, and listen to his voice. The Lord has today declared you to be his people, a treasured possession, as he promised you. How many times have we heard that also? And also in the new covenant with Peter, that those who have come into covenant with the God of Israel and given him their lives are a treasured people. That you should keep all his commandments, and that he will set you high above all nations which he has made for praise, fame, and honor, and that you shall be a consecrated people to the Lord your God, as he has spoken. And when he says consecrated, we're supposed to be a people that is holy unto him, that are separated unto him. Going on in Deuteronomy 27, verse 1, then Moses and the elders of Israel charged the people, saying, keep all the commandments which I command you today. So it shall be on the day when you cross the Jordan to the land which the Lord your God gives you, that you shall set up for yourself large stones and coat them with lime, and write on them all the words of this law when you cross over, so that you may enter the land which the Lord your God gives you, a land flowing with milk and honey, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, promised you. So it shall be, when you cross the Jordan, you shall set up on Mount Ebal these stones, as I am commanding you today, and you shall coat them with lime. Moreover, you shall build there an altar to the Lord your God, an altar of stones. You shall not wield an iron tool on them. You shall build the altar of the Lord your God of uncut stones, and you shall offer on it burnt offerings to the Lord your God. And you shall sacrifice peace offerings and eat there and rejoice before the Lord your God. You shall write on the stones all the words of this law very distinctly. How many times does God tell us to write this law, to obey this law, to keep this law, to put this law in our hearts that we might not sin against him? In chapter 27, verse 9, then Moses and the Levitical priests spoke to all Israel, saying, be silent and listen, O Israel. This day you have become a people for the Lord your God. You shall therefore obey the Lord your God and do his commandments and his statutes, which I command you today. And you know, what we've been reading about all through this book is that God says that we should keep these commandments, not to make it hard on us, but that it would be well with us and be well with our children as well. In chapter 27, verse 11, Moses also charged the people on that day, saying, when you cross the Jordan, these shall stand on Mount Gerizim to bless the people: Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Yosef, and Binyamin. For the curse, these shall stand on Mount Ebal: Reuven, Gad, Asher, Zvulun, Dan, and Naphtali. The Levites shall then answer and say to all the men of Israel with a loud voice, cursed is the man who makes an idol or a molten image, an abomination to the Lord, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and sets it up in secret. And all the people shall answer and say, Amen. So what we see in this picture is we've got these two mountains here. We've got Gerizim and Ebal, and those standing on this mountain are saying the blessings, and those on this mountain are saying the curses. He continues on in chapter 27 talking about cursed is the one who dishonors his father and mother. Cursed is the one who moves his neighbor's boundary mark. And he continues on with that. Now, when we get to chapter 28, and I know this is a beloved chapter by so many because it talks about the many, many blessings of following the Lord. I'm going to start out in verse 1. It shall be, if you diligently Obey the Lord your God, being careful to do all his commandments, which I command you today. The Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings will come upon you and overtake you if you obey the Lord your God. And now he starts in with all those blessings. Like it says, blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the country. Blessed shall be the offspring of your body, and the produce of your ground, and the offspring of your beast, the increase of your herd, and the young of your flock. And he keeps on with so many blessings. And, when you don't know what to pray and you want to pray blessings on your family, this is the most incredible list to pray for. But then when we get into verse 15, we find out all these blessings are very conditional. It says, but it shall come about if you do not obey the Lord your God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I charge you today, all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. And those very blessings that we had just read, now, if we do not obey the Lord, he says, these will be the curses. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the country. Cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. And it goes on. And there are some very hard curses in there. When we get to verse 45, it says, so all these curses shall come on you and pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you would not obey the Lord your God by keeping his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded you. They shall become a sign and a wonder on you and your descendants forever. And now this is one of my favorite verses in chapter 28, verse 47 of Deuteronomy. Because you did not serve the Lord your God with joy and a glad heart for the abundance of all things, therefore you shall serve your enemies. So why do I love it? Because God's telling us here how to serve him with joy and with a glad heart. And even this morning, because we do get tired, right? And I was reading that verse about be not weary in well doing. And really, this is just kind of feeds into that. Serve him with joy and a glad heart for the abundance of all things. How beautiful is that? And then as we come to the end in the Torah portion today, just want to look at chapter 29. These are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the sons of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant which he made with them at Horeb. And Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and all his servants and all his land, the great trials which your eyes have seen, those great signs and wonders. Yet to this day, the Lord has not given you a heart to know, nor eyes to see, nor ears to hear. I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandal has not worn out on your foot. You have not eaten bread, nor have you drunk wine or strong drink, in order that you might know that I am the Lord your God. I want to move over to the New Covenant portion, which is in Acts chapter 7. And this is when Stephan is standing before the religious leaders. They have decided already that they want to kill him. But before that, it's like he's in court. He's giving his testimony. And this is part of it. Acts 7, verse 30. After 40 years had passed, an angel appeared to him, meaning Moses, in the wilderness of Mount Sinai, in the flame of a burning thorn bush. When Moses saw it, he marveled at the sight. And as he approached to look more closely, there came the voice of the Lord. I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Moses shook with fear and would not venture to look. But the Lord said to him, "Take off the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt and have heard their groans. And I have come down to rescue them. Come now, and I will send you to Egypt." This Moses, whom they disowned, saying, "Who made you a ruler and a judge," is the one whom God sent to be both a ruler and a deliverer with the help of the angel who appeared to him in the thorn bush. This man led them out, performing wonders and signs in the land of Egypt and in the Red Sea and in the wilderness for 40 years. This is the Moses who said to the sons of Israel, "God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your brethren." But what struck me when I was reading this testimony of Stephan is that this testimony was like more or less 1,500 years after the Exodus. And look what detail he gives about this story. That means that his fathers and their fathers had been so diligent to teach the word of the Lord, to teach this history, to tell their children what God had done. They were faithful to do this. And I think we really need to look at our own lives and challenge ourselves about our own children and our grandchildren and the generations that come after us. Are we being diligent like this to impart the word of the Lord to them? I want to bless you today. I hope you have a wonderful week. Shalom.